Buzzsaw is a new movie released on Netflix. It stars Jake Gyllenhaal as Morph. He's an art critic. This movie is written and directed by Dan Gilroy, who had previously directed Gyllenhaal in Nightcrawler, which I thought was a fantastic movie. I think that's Gyllenhaal's best performance of his career. He totally disappeared in that movie. And Velvet Buzzsaw is about Morph and other people discovering the artwork of an unknown artist, and there's a supernatural entity in his artwork that comes after everybody because of how greedy people can be in the art world. This does take place in the contemporary art world. Dan Gilroy has had some great ideas. Again, Nightcrawler was something to look forward to, and really enjoyed the hell out of Nightcrawler. It was one of my favorite movies of 2014. But my thing with Netflix movies is that none of them have really excited me or have been that great, or I just kind of bypass them because I have a beef with Netflix, and maybe I'll explain that in a different video. But my whole thing here is that I wanted to see this movie because it was Jake Gyllenhaal and Rene Russo and John Malkovich and Nancy Wheeler from Stranger Things. Not to mention, Rene Russo was in Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal, which was also directed and written by Dan Gilroy. I thought that this movie had all the right pieces to be good. I think it's just kind of fine. The first half of this movie is really slow. There were scenes that were putting me to sleep. My eyes were closing. I actually rewound a couple of times because I wanted to do this review, and I wanted to make sure I saw the whole movie. So I rewound a couple times because I was like, just getting kind of bored here. Something happened. I mean, something does happen in the first half of it, but I feel like it's something that's not emotionally investing, you know? This event that happens in the movie, it's kind of a waste of time, if you know what I mean. All this supernatural entity stuff starts happening in the second half. That's where kind of the horror movie cliches come into play, and even though it's not, I wouldn't really consider this a horror movie per se, you can definitely tell Dan Gilroy took inspiration from things like The Player. He does incorporate some horror movie tropes in there as well. There was nothing really emotionally investing because these characters, aside from Gyllenhaal's character, and he's honestly the best part of the movie. Gyllenhaal, no matter what he's in, is probably going to be the best part of the movie. He's always playing a great character, and I really liked his character. He had a lot of backstory to him. He was fleshed out. He was definitely the one that was fleshed out the most. But the other characters, who gives a shit? The main chick, I was like, I don't care. Rene Russo's character, I was like, there's nothing here for me to latch onto. John Malkovich is in the movie as well, and I don't understand why, because he really doesn't do anything. A lot of these characters really just don't do anything. The only one that really does anything is Gyllenhaal. Gyllenhaal gets top billing in this movie, and he's not even the main character. No, it's the main chick. The main chick is the main character. It's either her and the chick that plays Nancy Wheeler from Stranger Things. I don't know. I couldn't deduce who the main character was. It kept going back and forth between a set amount of characters. There are so many characters in here that it keeps going back and forth with. I'm like, so are you the main character? Are you the main character? It was hard to figure it out. And I couldn't really figure out what was going on in the first half of this movie because it was all in like this art museum and they were just talking about all this art stuff, and I'm like, I don't understand this language. It's almost like Gilroy wrote this in a language that we don't understand, in that art critic type of way, you know? Not everybody's gonna understand that, just like how not everybody's gonna understand the language used in a review for the latest rock band or something like that. And I don't get why this movie is called Velvet Buzzsaw. I mean, there's a tattoo that Rene Russo has on her neck that she was in a band called Velvet Buzzsaw, but what does that have to do with anything? I don't get why it's called Velvet Buzzsaw, because it's almost like Dan Gilroy was like, let's not have a title for the movie. Rene Russo's character is going to have a tattoo of a velvet buzzsaw on her back, so might as well just do that. Let's just call it Velvet Buzzsaw. I don't get why it's called Velvet Buzzsaw. It's kind of like, why is peppermint called peppermint? I didn't understand why it was called Velvet Buzzsaw. Like, why wasn't it just called, like, painting entity? Second half of the movie does start to pick up its pace a little bit, and that's where we move into more of the horror movie cliches. But I had more, even though it was cliched, I had more fun with that part of the movie than I did with the first half of the movie. And I felt that that half of the movie was a bit more focused, even though we're still focusing on characters that I really didn't care about. Velvet Buzzsaw, for me, was a movie from Netflix that I was really looking forward to, despite not really liking many of Netflix's original movies, despite not watching a lot of them, because I feel like they're taking away from the movie theater experience, but this is one I wanted to watch because of its cast, because of its director, because of its writer, because of the intrigue of the plot. There is so much talent here, and I feel like all this talent just went to waste. There's nothing that'll get you invested emotionally in this movie. The characters are really hollow, with the exception of Jake Gyllenhaal's character. It's a very slow burn for the first half. Horror movie cliches in the second half. It picks up a little bit in the second half and focuses up a little bit and kind of catches your attention, but there are a lot of scenes in this movie that were slow. It's a very mixed bag for me. I'm going to give Velvet Buzzsaw a C+. Giving a lot of C's to 2019 movies so far. That's a shame. Thank you for watching my review of Velvet Buzzsaw. I will leave my link to my website in the description below. There you will find all my links to my social media accounts. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you on the flip side.